One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it. We don't want anybody to have any sort of a way to get it down. The episode of you when you're on The View, when you were running for president.
Right.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
In today's video, Joe Rogan is taking a close look at the changing political views of The View and its famous hosts, especially Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar. He's pointing out what he believes is obvious hypocrisy in their constantly changing stance on Donald Trump.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy. We love it.
They were talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering, and then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
Rogan isn't holding back as he highlights the stark difference between how the hosts of The View once welcomed Trump and how they now strongly oppose him. This flip-flop has caught his attention, and he's wondering if it's really about principle or just reacting to changing media and political trends. Rogan begins by recalling a time when The View had a much friendlier attitude toward Donald Trump. In the early 2000s, the hosts treated him as a friend, even supporting his presidential ambitions. They asked him about his future plans, and at times, their admiration seemed sincere. Fast forward to today, and Trump has become a lightning rod for controversy, with Whoopi and Joy leading the charge, labeling him as a divisive figure who threatens the very core of American democracy.
You know who made a campaign stop on the Joe Rogan podcast Friday night? And with all the issues Americans are going to be voting on, you know where they started the interview? Take a look.
It was the episode of you when you were on The View, and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. There's a lot of fake news coming up, so we're going to clear some of it up as it happens. He was actually, in that clip, is 2011, 4 years before he announced he was running. Okay? That's the first thing they got wrong.
Rogan isn't convinced that this shift is due to any real change in Trump's values or behavior. Instead, he argues that it's a reflection of the political and cultural pressures of the moment. He questions whether their sudden strong opposition is based on true conviction or if they're just following the latest media trend. In Rogan's view, The View's current stance is more about what's popular right now than standing firm on any ideological principles. He calls out the hosts for their selective outrage, noting that Trump's core beliefs haven't changed much over time. What has changed is the media narrative around him, and that's been enough to spark a complete reversal in how The View portrays him.
Got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So, here's the actual appearance.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy. We love it.
But did I look?
Rogan's critique doesn't end there. He dives into the language the hosts use, especially when discussing social justice and woke culture. Whoopi Goldberg has claimed that The View has always been aware of the struggles of marginalized groups, stressing that these communities don't want to be talked down to. Rogan takes issue with this, calling it performative and hypocritical, especially when you look at how much The View once celebrated Trump before he got into politics. According to Rogan, this sudden shift isn't about a genuine commitment to progressive values. Instead, it's just about jumping on the bandwagon of the current political climate.
We average out The View hosts among the dumbest people on television. And it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth.
I don't think Sonny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked and half baked and you went on stage with it and just It's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah.
Rogan's argument gets even more pointed when he addresses the claims about Trump's behavior, particularly the accusations that he's spoken disrespectfully about marginalized communities. He challenges Whoopi and Joy to provide clear examples of Trump directly belittling groups like African Americans or LGBTQ+ individuals. Rogan argues that, in fact, Trump has shown more openness to inclusivity in recent years than many past politicians. He compares Trump to mainstream figures like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, suggesting that these politicians are more likely to talk down to the public, while Trump, despite his flaws, tends to avoid that approach.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies-infested.
This line of thought highlights Rogan's belief that much of the criticism aimed at Trump is rooted in assumptions or selectively chosen incidents, rather than his actual behavior. And this is where things take a more intriguing turn. Rogan challenges The View to invite Trump back onto their show for a direct, unfiltered debate. If the hosts truly oppose Trump's views, Rogan argues, they should have no problem confronting him face to face. He believes such a public debate could provide Trump with a chance to defend himself on a major platform, possibly changing the public's view of him in a more positive light. Rogan, however, thinks the hosts won't take this step because they're afraid a face-off with Trump might actually improve his image rather than tarnish it. After all, a one-on-one debate with Trump wouldn't just give him a chance to share his side. It would also allow him to directly challenge the narrative The View has been promoting for years.
But Barbara, she said be polite to guests no matter what.
Yes.
And for the most part, I got through. I did it like I do now. But here's where they really messed up. Watch.
They're talking about you as such a favorable light.
Honey, Joe, I think you missed this part. Take a look.
I want him to show his birth certificate. There's something on that birth certificate that he doesn't like.
Oh my God.
that's a terrible
That is
thing.
just a
Whoopi, I'm telling
that he
you.
was 3 pounds and
Donnie, I
30.
love you. I'm
Donald,
telling
I love
you.
you too. I think that's the biggest pile of dog mess I've heard in
Rogan also takes the chance to comment on the state of cancel culture, which he finds more ironic and hypocritical with each passing day. He points out how figures like Trump, who were once widely admired, are now quickly dismissed and canceled, simply because they no longer fit the progressive or mainstream viewpoints. Rogan argues that the backlash against Trump isn't based on true ideological differences, but rather on the desire to conform to what's popular at the moment. In his eyes, this is what makes cancel culture so shallow. Public figures who stray too far from the accepted narrative are quickly condemned, while others who play by the rules are celebrated, even when their views don't align with what Rogan considers the truth.
has allowed all kinds of people to come on, people we agree with, people we don't agree with. I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation. So I have not really had much to say until he started running for president. Then I could say everything I needed to say. My face said everything.
Rogan's analysis targets the commercialization of politics and media, particularly the idea that shows like The View and other mainstream outlets have turned into platforms for virtue signaling, rather than honest discussions. He suggests that hosts like Whoopi Goldberg now criticize Trump not out of genuine disagreement, but because it boosts ratings, attracts publicity, and keeps them relevant in an ever-changing media environment. To Rogan, this trend highlights how the media has shifted from fostering real, thoughtful debates to simply maintaining a narrative.
You can't refute anything with him because he just, when I say him, I mean
Rambles. Trump. Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
The most surprising part of Rogan's argument might be his suggestion that public figures, including the hosts, should be held accountable for their influence on public opinion. He believes that The View and other media outlets have a responsibility, not just to entertain, but to avoid spreading misinformation or making sweeping statements about people without solid proof. Rogan challenges the idea that it's acceptable to attack or tarnish someone's reputation just because they're a public figure, especially for the sake of sensationalism. He questions whether the hosts of The View are genuinely fighting for the causes they claim to support, or if they're merely playing a role to maintain their popularity. According to Rogan, if you truly stand by your values, you should be ready to face your opponents head-on. That's why he's calling on The View to bring Trump back for an open conversation, but he doubts they'll take that step, as it might expose how shallow their criticisms really are. So, what do you think of Rogan's analysis? Is The View guilty of hypocrisy and pandering to a progressive trend? Or are they just reacting to the real-world consequences of Trump's actions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more thoughtful commentary on the latest cultural and political debates. Thanks for watching.